other one is for two of us. Our second guest today is Paula Aschettino, the founder of Citizens for Homeowners Insurance Reform. Been our guest several times over the years, and I hope you've been listening because she has a lot more to tell us about today. So, Paula, why don't you start off?
Thank you, Paul. It's a pleasure always to be here and to speak to your listeners. I wanted to give an update from the last time that I was here. There's been an outcry this end of the summer because the Division of Insurance in Massachusetts has allowed a number of the large private insurance companies in homeowners insurance to receive rate hikes as high as 10%. And there's been a great concern by the consumers, even off Cape now, on this increase, and are these increases justified? Well, the legislature heard of this and created a Senate panel, which 2 weeks ago had a hearing in Boston at the State House, and this was to question the Division of Insurance, the new commissioner and their head actuaries, along with several of the insurance companies themselves, to testify before this panel on how the division reviews rate filings in homeowner insurance. This panel, Senate panel, was led by Senator Mike Barrett. He's out of Lexington, Mass. And they did a fabulous job in their staff included in learning about the issues and to question publicly. I was invited, the only consumer invited to testify at this hearing, which I did. And if you could hear the answers by the Division of Insurance on how and what they look at when they allow insurance rate filings to go through without denial, the conclusion of this panel discussion was the fact that the Division of Insurance is compromised and that they are not looking out for the consumer's benefit. So this is an ongoing, that committee was the post-audit committee headed by Mike Barrett, Senator Mike Barrett. This is going to, they're looking into two bills themselves, the Senate. One of the bills that they're looking into possibly writing would be a bill that would trigger the Attorney General to have the right to call for a rate hearing in the event that the Division of Insurance allows a rate to go through that was thought to be excessive. Mm-hmm. At the moment, the Division of Insurance is the only person, the only entity that looks at a rate filing. Nobody else knows about it. The Attorney General has no access to that rate filing until it is passed into effect. And then at that point, it's very difficult to overturn an excessive increase. So that's a good point. We have a committee. It was the first time that I'd been into Boston and really have seen a real interest, a real knowledge of some of the problems that we are facing as consumers. And I feel that with our continued pressure on this committee and on our Attorney General and our legislators, I'm hoping that we will get some meaningful bills. The other bill that they're considering is that when a insurance company comes in with a rate filing, there would be public knowledge and transparency so that interested people would know that that filing has come in. Mm-hmm. The Attorney General would know that filing can come in and have access to look at it prior to it passing. So that's a good point that came out of this.
Now, can they have arranged these meetings other than in the middle of the afternoon?
Well, let me get to that. Yes, the commissioner, I think out of wanting to look as if the Division of Insurance is doing something for the consumer, they have come up, and actually the commissioner wrote a very good notice. It's on the Division of Insurance website. If you look up Massachusetts Division of Insurance, right on the front page, there is a paragraph about homeowner insurance hearings that are going to take place around the state in different regions. The letter that is on the website is detailed. I believe the commissioner did do a good job in spelling out what kind of things they'd be looking for comments from consumers. This is our opportunity. The CAPE hearing is going to take place on December 8th, 11 a.m. at the Town Hall in Hyannis at 367 Main Street on the second floor hearing room. Again, that's December 8th. I'm sure that that's during the week, which again is a problem. But I'll tell you what was a concern. I just heard about these hearings yesterday. And when I looked into it, I never received notice from the Division of Insurance. I'm the only consumer group in the state. You would assume that they would have sent me at least a notice. The first hearing is taking place today in Lowell at 2 o'clock. The notice went in the Lowell Sun paper on the 18th, so that's a 3-day notice about a meeting in the middle of the week when people are working with little time to prepare or make arrangements with childcare or whatever. And second of all, the article in the paper that was put in, and I do blame the Division of Insurance to make sure that all information is there. There's no date, there's no time, there's no it mentions that there's hearings around the state and in Lowell. So now, as of today, I would be surprised if anybody shows up. So what a poor mismanagement, again, by our Division of Insurance. I have sent emails regarding this. I am going to contact all the locations across the state and their newspapers and put something out so that citizens would be aware and could do some planning, because this is an important topic. Here, I wanted to mention about these important hearings. The commissioner is going to take oral and written comments on several areas, and it could be even expanded if you have a problem with your insurance. They want to look at the level of availability and affordability of homeowner insurance in your area. They would like to look at a consumer's experience with decisions when they are denied insurance by a particular company, details about that. They'd like to have what notice does the insurers give when there's a change of coverage. When we get a renewal policy, how can we shop around to find insurance that's the best price and the best coverage for us if, number one, we don't even know of the changes that are going to be occurring with your present company until your renewal, because we do receive...
They do change.
Yeah, they do.
A lot of what you're covered.
And also,
what is covered.
The Division of Insurance always says, especially for the Cape and Islands, that we are complaining, but we shouldn't be because we don't shop around for insurance. Well, there's no location on a website at the Division of Insurance that rates companies on how well they pay claims. Is it a problem? Because there are companies that you have to fight with the whole time. There's no website that talks about how many rate increases. What's the past 3 years of rate increases by this company? Why would I change from one company to another when I find out that once or twice a year they increase their rates 8 or 10%? Yeah. We have no information to base a decision on. And the Division of Insurance constantly says that we're the ones at fault for complaining about high premiums. This needs to be changed, and we need to bring this forward by either attending the hearings or by writing, and this station is going to have an email address and also mailing address for citizens to write about their experience, write about the changes they would like to see. Do our agents give us enough information about what we're buying in our product? Do people know that you're not covered for water coming into your home if there's any storm surge or water, like flood, that's not covered in homeowners? What are our deductibles? What does it mean? There's so much that citizens need to know. So these hearings, I'm going to make an effort starting today to make notice around the state in the newspapers. Hopefully our local papers I know will cover this in your station. And hopefully I'll be back here before December 8th to, again in November, remind citizens, because this is an important issue. I left my email address on this site, insreform@aol.com. If you should email something to the commissioner, if you could also send me a copy of what you have. I print these things out and keep them so that in case the Division of Insurance does something with your email, I at least have it and can bring it forward as testimony to our concerns.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the latest update. I did testify a week ago before the Financial Services Committee in Boston. That is a committee which oversees banking and insurance issues. There is a bill up at the State House, House Bill 926, which deals with our homeowner insurance and the need for justification of accuracy in the hurricane models to the kinds of storms that we could have. I am hoping so much that this year, with all the attention that the homeowner insurance issue is having, that we could see some progress in getting that bill passed. It would protect the consumers more. It would allow the Attorney General also to call for hearings if there were rates.
Why won't it get passed?
Well, that's a good question. I was invited. I wasn't invited. All the public has a chance when they have these types of hearings at Financial Services to go in and speak on a bill. And I spoke, and I was disappointed in that committee. There must have been probably 10 people on the panel. We actually had one of our own legislators, Tim Madden, was there on that committee, and I will say that he tried to make an effort to bring his own complaints about homeowner insurance on the Cape and Islands forward at that hearing. But it seemed as if I was rushed. I was the only consumer that was there. It's a public hearing on a bill, and in about 2 minutes they wanted me to sum up and end and leave. And you know, this is our time. This is our time to speak. And I feel that there's some real concern about the influence of this industry, the insurance industry, on our legislators, and not rocking the boat. And you know, I'm really concerned about how we are going to get bills passed, because obviously the committees that are in charge of looking into issues why aren't they looking into these issues? The Senate committee panel had no one from this Financial Services Committee even went to that.
Wow.
I mean, why is this? I'm telling you, citizens, we make a difference, and if our voices can't come forward and continue, I know this has been like 8 or 9 years now, you can't give up. And I am concerned that we need to continue to make this important, because if we sit back and say, well, you know, we'll just pay these excessive bills, where are we? You know,
We're in the poorhouse.
we're in the poorhouse. You know, and there's a lot of people that are.
It's true.
You know, these increases down here at the Cape, the average premium is about $2,600 for people. Average. There's some people I know that pay less, but you know, with the income, we have a lot of people that are living on the edge of poverty here. This is not a wealthy area.
No.
Jobs are always difficult. People are working 1 and 2 jobs. When somebody gets an increase in their insurance of $100 or $200 a year, that's substantial for people.
Big increase.
Many of them are on fixed incomes, and I just feel that this is something that we need to all be concerned about. Our selectmen in our towns need to be representing us also in this fight and make comments.
Well, some of these selectmen have wonderful pensions.
Probably so.
And they don't need to be concerned about a $100 increase.
Right. But even
and I think that's part of the problem. People who are in position of authority are well prepared for any increases.
It makes it easier.
It makes it a lot easier for them.
But it doesn't, even the people that have expensive homes, you know, over on the islands, most of the houses there are not covered at all by private insurance companies. There's some, Chubb, I think I heard, covers some for very high end. But generally, in fact, as I rode into Boston to this Senate panel hearing, I rode with a woman who had $1 million home, and this past winter, she had a fire. Well, the fire truck showed up with no water. Her house burned down. So she has Lloyd's of London. It's a surplus line of insurance, which,
Wow.
you know, if people can't have coverage by regular private insurance companies that are in Massachusetts, guaranteed under the Massachusetts homeowner insurance program, they have to go, or they choose to go, to surplus lines of insurance, they're called. Well, she's with Lloyd's of London, and I think they cover a lot of people. Well, she's sitting in a trailer still as winter approaches. 9 months after, or 8 months after this, she has had to fight every inch of the way to get any money released to be able to rebuild her home. Now,
Wow.
this to me is unacceptable.
Yeah.
When you have a surplus line of insurance and you have a problem with a claim, you can't go to the Division of Insurance and complain about it, because surplus lines are allowed to do business, but they're not protected. So who do you go to?
You're not protected either.
Well,
apparently.
It's just that, again, I don't mean to badmouth any company, but this was a story that this gal was telling me, and she is having problems. Where's her agent? She said, they don't. You know, they're sitting back. You're dealing with a company that has many entities, and now you're on your own, and it's alarming. These are things that citizens need to know about. How, you know, ask good questions when they deal with their agents, how coverage is. And I want to thank everybody for this opportunity. I will give another update in a month. I'm hoping that I can see a good turnout on this December 8th hearing at 11 a.m. at the Barnstable Town Hall. And bring your concerns. And if you can't make it, please email or write to the commissioner. And if you can, send me a copy. I'd love to keep it in my file. And I thank you again. Thank you, Paul.
Well, we appreciate your coming and telling us all about the insurance industry and its problems that we all face. And we hope that we can support you, and we hope we have been giving you some support.
You have, and you always have. And thank you again.